Hey, good to see ya. Thanks for dropping in with me. I'm going to go ahead and tap into this energy and see how we can best flow with the astrological forecast for this week, which is quite a heavy hitter energy, I have to say. The week opened up with Mercury going into Virgo, where it is exalted, and then immediately thereafter it went into a square Uranus in Gemini. Both Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury. So there's a lot of mutability at the forefront here. We know with Uranus, anything can happen. It does have an energy that takes you by surprise. It requires you to think outside the box, figure things out. As of today, Wednesday, that square Uranus was perfected. And so this is quite a dynamic energy to work with, but it also has its challenges. And this is all leading us to that full lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces that comes in with the harvest moon on the 7th, this Sunday. That particular full moon lunar eclipse is tying back to the last eclipse cycle we had in 2024, but it even goes back further than that, really. You have to look at it more in the context of when Libra sort of kicked off the cycle, hosting the Plutonian energy way back when. Okay, so a lot of this energy is looping back around from like tail end of 2009, 2010. This has been a long karmic cycle that we have been moving through. Something is wrapping up here. It is cathartic, but it brings its challenges. We have more challenging aspects coming in later this week. We have Mars square Jupiter. This is when we find that there are certain roadblocks to us moving into the kind of expansion that we want to see. This is when we are confronted with certain obstacles that make us question our view of life, our philosophy of life, in some cases, our spirituality. It also lets us know that we have to take accountability. There's certain work, there's certain things that we need to do in order to transcend these challenges and move into the kind of good fortune, blessings, and more optimistic horizons that we want to see up ahead. There's a need for personal responsibility. This is something that came in the download last week about needing to straighten by fire, needing to practice some kind of discipline. We also have Saturn retrograde back into Pisces this week. We know that's uncomfortable territory for Saturn to be in. We know that Pisces is more mutable. Pisces likes to go with the flow. Saturn likes structure. So we're going to experience a weird juxtaposition at this time where it feels like there's a need to have structure, there's a need to have order, there's a fixation on time. And at the same time, there's like this liminal space of timelessness. Everything's in flux, and how do we grasp that? It's a totally new flow. It's more than just thinking outside the box. It's more like being presented a certain labyrinth by life where you have to navigate your way to the center of it all to really understand that you are at the center of it all. And so anytime you can use this sort of straightening by fire to activate the higher consciousness, the more you can drop in and have a discipline that involves having some kind of meditative focus or some reflection time, which you can certainly find even at the gym if you use it as a time of meditation and really sort of working out through your tissues, stuff that you're working out spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, okay? That's really going to be beneficial to you. But I thought we would just dive into this energy and see what is coming in here for all of us. And I'm going to open up with the Gilded Tarot here. This is like my alchemy tarot deck. It lets us know the work to be done. Okay, so yes, the messenger is at the forefront here, and we are getting a message. We're getting a message that things are changing, things are shifting, that the old way doesn't work anymore. The old structure doesn't work anymore. Our old reactions do not work anymore. And we're really being asked to use that fire to temper ourselves, to enact a transformation in our lives to enact a transformation in our perspective, the way we see things, the way we respond to things. Everything is shifting here, and it brings an opportunity, but it does require that we act on it. Sagittarian energy at the forefront. So this is really speaking of using that fire to face challenges head on and think outside the box. Think outside of your usual programming in order to find a new way around what is seeming like a limitation in your path. It's meant to highlight something within you that needs to go through a transformation in order to be able to move into the expansion. All right, so first we're going to look at what is the general tone of this quest before us this week, this collective quest leading on up to that full harvest moon, lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 7th. I thought we would just do a little collective quest read, 555 on the clock. Okay, so we know the change is imminent. We know that the trickster is running a bit rogue with Uranus there. We know it's going to be challenging the stuck places inside of ourselves. And we may have a bit to navigate here. It may feel like an obstacle course. And if there is some striking resemblance to what you went through a year ago at this time, that's no coincidence. You're being given the opportunity to learn how to respond to it in a new way. And with that, this flipped up in the middle of the deck. Page of Swords to 5 of Pentacles. What do we got here? Crossing energy, 6 of Pentacles. Okay, this is the way that we can really work against ourselves. Yes. 6 of Cups, bottom of the deck. Okay. This is the way we can really work against ourselves by trying to put on a front like, I got it on lock, I got it all under control, I can manage this by myself, and this is admitting maybe I could use a little support here, or I do need to lean on another, or there is something I need to clear here with another, or I'm recognizing that in some way, shape, or form, I need some assistance to move through this. This is the way we shut ourselves out in the cold when we try to intellectualize something too much, or when we're too concerned with ourselves. And so we have all these strategies in place about what we need to do to move forward. And this is really an energy that's saying, look, if you need help moving forward here, it really is about calling in those people who give you a sense of belonging. It's about calling in those people that give you a sense of rootedness. And they are there. They are around you. And maybe you haven't been really recognizing that. And this is the time that you recognize that, because there's important connections happening here. And together you can muddle through. See, we're running up against that time when we are going to arrive at the judgment with the harvest moon. Judgment on the scene. Again, Sagittarian energy coming out very strongly here. So I do recommend that you look at where you have Sagittarius in your chart. Also, what is going on in both the house of Sagittarius, the 9th house, but the 12th house, because both share Jupiter as a ruler. And with that Mars square Jupiter, we know that in order to initiate the energy, get things moving, we have to understand what is blocking us from moving into that expansion. And before you start pointing the finger at something outside of yourself, it's so important to figure out what within me needs to show up differently this time, needs to respond differently this time instead of react. And right behind that on the bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Wands energy, real strong Leo energy, but also Sagittarian energy came out very powerfully here. Also, we can throw Aries into the mix, all right? So this is the initiative energy. This is the fire energy. Fire is the elemental we are working with at this time for transformation. Okay, so let's see what is the nemesis or the spirit ally for us this week as we move through this territory that we have to learn a whole new flow with, that we have to navigate quite expertly. I do feel like Capricorn, the sea goat, is sort of a good archetype to work with at this time. Check out where you got Capricorn in your chart. Check out the 10th house. It can illuminate certain gifts, strengths you have that you really want to bring into play at this time. Capricorn is able to really, you know, pull oneself up by the bootstraps, do what needs to get done. They are a cardinal sign, but with that sea goat energy, I have always said, I feel like they do know how to move into mutability as much as they like structure. So this is something that the Piscean energy can really learn from at this time. The mutable energy can really learn from that cardinal quality of Capricorn. You may find that Capricorns are an ally at this time. So that coming in right off the bat. What is the nemesis or spirit ally for us this week as we move through this territory? Okay, we got a few things coming out here. Bottom of the deck. Things are going to get moving here with the Eight of Wands. Whatever goes down this week, it starts to move us into action. Okay? And Eight of Wands is a very positive, forward, progression kind of card. But also for me, it's a timing card. It means things are going down right now. Within the next 8 hours, stuff is going to shift for you. So pay attention. Really paying attention to these sort of time frames are important too. They're checkpoints for you, okay? 8 days from now, something really important is going to be at the forefront. By the time we get there, we're already on the other side of the harvest moon. So there's some kind of judgment you're going to become very aware of. And when I said that, it was 11:26 on the clock. 11:8 energy, okay? Bring those together. You got 19. That's the sun, okay? This is getting to the light at a long, dark tunnel that we've been moving through. You know, finally finding ourselves there. The new opening that opens up the brand new chapter here. It doesn't happen immediately though, okay? It's the awareness of it. And it's also the awareness of what's been blocking us and what we need to do to shift it. And so that means, what do we need to do? We need to get to work here. We need to get things done. And we got the Five of Wands coming in here, but I'm seeing this Five of Wands in a different way than I normally do. Five of Wands is not always about conflict, okay? Five of Wands is also sometimes about playful banter. It's about pulling people together in a very spirited way. And that's how I'm seeing this come through at this time. It's getting together with people to figure out, how do we learn something from what went awry the last time. And we got Virgo energy coming through very strongly here. South Node energy coming through very strongly here. We also know Virgo's front and center with this. It's Virgo season. Mercury went into Virgo, which is its ruler, but also where it's exalted, okay? So now we're going to have the light we need, the light of wisdom from what we learned last eclipse season, to be able to see how to navigate what's been tricky territory before in a new way, where we can pull these energies together and affect something different here. And I do think it'll work out very well, because we have the Two of Cups behind this. This is a reunification point. This is healing. This is rising above the challenges of the past. It's also a moment to toast. It's a moment of celebration. And there is something that comes to fruition here out of this process. Now, that looks really good. What's this energy here? Okay, first there is the need to navigate the hidden territory though. There is the need to understand the shadow more acutely, is how it's coming through. Something that is hidden right now that keeps us in a place of instability, something that keeps us in a place of not really being able to root these manifestations, what we want to see for our future, because it's an element that keeps throwing things a little off track, okay? And this is something that is in the subconscious. This is also something that is deep within the roots. So we know in order to rise up out of this energy, first we need to go deep. We need to go deep down into those areas that maybe we normally like to sweep under the rug. We don't want to look at this stuff, but we know with Uranus in the mix, Uranus pulls the rug out from under us and says, hey, take a look at this. This needs to be tended to, all right? So we got a little bit of good, we got a little bit of challenging here, and there is a way to navigate it all, but it does require us to pull our energies together with others instead of working against each other so much here, right? As always, it starts with us, okay? Ooh, And I started shuffling with the deck upright. I mean, this is what we're moving toward right here. And there is no bargaining with this. The old way must come to an end. We have to transform this Scorpio energy here. All right. It's time to move toward our initiation gate. And that initiation gate is that harvest moon. There will be a judgment made, and you're going to have the courage to recognize what needs to shift here, what needs to be released. So let's see what the lay of the land is once we step through that initiatory gateway of the Pisces harvest moon. What is the lay of the land as we step through the initiatory gateway that is that Pisces harvest moon? What is the initiatory gateway on the other side of this Pisces harvest moon? Whew. I mean, you've been carrying something for a long time. When are you going to use this for kindling? When are you going to use this to start a fire? When are you going to use this to start the fire that will blaze the trail that leads into the future? You got what you need here. This is a lot of power that you're carrying here, but it's not being utilized. 1616 on the clock. Double tower energy. Coming in strong, Scorpio signature. We got Mars in the mix there too. We got Aries in the mix there. We also got Aquarius in the mix there, okay? So this is, you hold a lot of power and you're not moving it into action. You have to take action here. You have to say yes to the path. You have to do the right thing. And the right thing is what has been illuminated for you through the challenges you've been through. You can't just continue to act like you are powerless and you're at the whims of fate here. You may have been dealt with a challenging hand. You may have been walking through the valley of the shadow for a long time. But at some point, you have to have a reason to rise and take action. And that reason is coming this week. Okay. What is the B for the meat of the matter, the challenge here that needs to be overcome for the collective on this quest as we find ourselves heading up to that full harvest moon? Ugh. Do you see? Oh my God. It doesn't get more clear. Look, firm yes on that with the Hierophant coming through. You want freedom? You want your keys of opportunity to open the road? And in some cases, open the road in a key relationship, a key connection? Well, it's all very clear. It's all right here. King of Wands in reverse. Knight of Wands in reverse. Knight of Swords in reverse. Again, it also exemplifies what I just talked about. Now we see the lizard medicine here, okay? And lizard is associated with dream time, with journeying. But when it's reverse here, this is showing that there's a little bit of disillusionment. There's a little need to bring in that Saturnian energy to look at things realistically. And you can't just stay in fantasy land with this either. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to communicate decisively, to speak the truth, and to not just sit idle here, but to get things moving. And again, to do that straightening by fire, all right? So this does require a lot of accountability here. Something very important is happening, yes. When we got the Hierophant showing up, Hierophant is a yes card. There is something important happening here. It brings freedom. It brings keys. Keys for two that open a door. Keys that help us move through that initiatory gateway and find the promise of something on the other side there that's worth investing in, okay? So what are the consequences of our past actions that we're going to need to deal with here? Again, real strong fire sign energy coming out here. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have all the water signs out here. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio with that High Priestess there. So when I call out the signs, I really recommend that you check out those areas of your chart. see what kind of action's going down there, because then you'll really be able to decipher how it's speaking to you specifically, all right? So what are the consequences we're going to have to deal with as a result of our past actions? Ooh, I love it. Queen of Swords out here, coming out very strongly, okay? Well, it looks like you're in a good place. Looks like you're in a good place. This is coming through very strongly for all the air signs. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, also coming out very strongly for Virgo. Virgo can sometimes be represented by the swords element because of their intellect, okay? This is having truth in your hand. This is having the answerer in your hand. You have Fragarok, but what needs to happen? We see it here. There's a need to act on the truth. So you have a truth. You need to act on it. That's what you're being called to do. You can't sit here and ignore a truth anymore. You have to act on it. 8 of Pentacles. You got to get to work. You got to set this in motion. It is key. It is pivotal. It is your vehicle forward. It's so essential at this time. So all that's missing is the action. Now, in terms of Fragarok, which is the first treasure of the Tuatha De Danann, Fragarok will give the answer you seek wherever you point its tip. In order to enact its power, though, you have to take the action of pulling it from its sheath. You also need to know where to direct it. And so there's a little bit of that in the mix here too. What needs to be resolved? Where do you need to seek your answers? This is something you do need to look at this week. And this is the alchemical point of the work to be done. You're going to have to get to work and set it in motion. For some of you, it could be in relation to your work. Certainly, we're looking at this through every spectrum of the lens. It's not just looking at it in terms of a spiritual focus, but a comprehensive focus where we're looking at psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, yes, but also material reality. It's all interconnected. There is no separation between any of that, okay? So this is you arriving at a point of truth and taking an action, taking a decisive action here. That's good, strong energy. I do like seeing that. And this is a very accountable energy. When we look at the Queen of Swords upright, the Queen of Swords upright holds the truth in her hands. She ain't coming out reversed. This is not cold. This is not cut off. This is somebody who holds the truth in their hand and they are representing it. And that is also what you are being asked to do. This is what you are required to do, but also to move it into action, to act on this truth, okay? Let's see, what is the power to be gained through self-mastery if the collective does this? What is the power to be gained through self-mastery if the collective does this? What is the power to be gained through self-mastery if the collective acts on this? And when I speak of power, know that I'm speaking of empowerment. And when we speak of empowerment, that's not something that just benefits us personally. It actually benefits the collective as a whole. It's important that people understand that stepping into power is not always something that's based in egocentricity. In fact, it's necessary to create a change, an evolution, not only for us in our personal lives, but in the collective consciousness as a whole. That's the way we get free. That's the way we allow ourselves to see beyond the illusion. We take accountability. We create change in the world around us. So there's something coming through here about really looking at your relationship to power. Do you feel comfortable holding power? Do you struggle with that? Just when you hear the word power, what comes up in your mind? What kind of associations do you have with the word power? There's a key there. Bottom of the deck. Ooh, yes, there is a key there. There is something that needs to be understood. You see, because when you're in an empowered place, you don't live out of the 8 of Swords. You don't stay up in your head muddling things around. You don't. When you are empowered, you know that you are always free. You know that you always have the power to act. You always have the power to take a different action. You always have the power to change your life. You always have the power to step forward in your Dharma in a new way, okay? So this is really an important piece. This is kind of coming out as a crossing energy, but it's heading on the upswing. So I like this. And with that, we got the 8 of Pentacles coming out again with the 2 of Swords. Isn't this interesting? The energy, very blindfolded, all right? Very blindfolded. So I think you've been in a place here where you've been looking internally. I think you've been trying to balance yourself out emotionally. Maybe you have been blocking off certain distractions. Maybe you've been taking some time to yourself because you've been unsure about how you should move forward. Hopefully there's some kind of awareness that's come through since you've been doing that, since the new moon that came in, the black moon in Virgo. Okay. Whatever you've learned there, this is the week where it's time to start to set it into motion, right? Get to work on it because you're not held back here. And there's something about this, about getting to work, not using this as an excuse anymore, but actually getting to work. And if you're unclear about what you need to do, take the first natural step. Take the first natural practical step and let the road rise up to meet you. Because that's usually what happens when we start to set something in motion, we get it out of our head, we all of a sudden have all this clarity come in. It's not confusing anymore. And one thing leads to another. You'll find that the road will rise up to meet you. This is very important, okay? You're not trapped here. You're not. So you don't get to play that card anymore. It doesn't work like that. I see that this energy is coming through very sort of like steely with the Queen of Swords. Take action, take action now. Now is not the time to be passive. Now is the time to get engaged with your path. Everything counts on it. Everything counts on you holding your power in a very balanced way. Everything counts on you doing things differently than you did last go around here. Look back to last year. What was going on back there? It's time to get it right. It's time to really enact the wisdom of the journey in the turning of the wheel here. Okay? Because the judgment's coming down, man. And it may require a new flow. That may not be comfortable with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, okay? But you will figure it out. You have to. Okay? There really is no other option here. You have to figure it out. All right? And this also is that master maker energy being activated. All right? So drop in with that download that I brought in about the master maker is forging you in fire because it's going down this week. Okay? So you're going to feel the heat. All right? But there's mastery that comes out of it. Let's see what's at stake for you and your party, those who are going to be joining you on the other side of the harvest moon to usher in this new cycle of growth, of learning, of evolution, of promise. Okay. What's at stake for our party moving forward here? Those that we are aligned with, those that are coming onto our path. It's crossing the energy. It's really dependent on us moving into action. I see that here. Look at this. Victory. Overcoming the hurdles. Coming to that place of arrival. And look, it's not just one getting to the other side of these challenges. There's others gathered here. Right? This is beautiful energy. 6 of Wands. So we see that 6 of Cups energy comes in with the 6 of Wands. Gives me big cauldron of Dagda vibes. Okay? This is when we find an inexhaustible source of nourishment when we move out of the place of conflict of the 5 of Wands. And instead we bring our forces together in a very spirited way. We banter, we play, we bring our energies together creatively and we say, let's really drive this thing home together, okay? That's how there's true victory. Look at this, beautiful. Taking the action, raising the wand, using the fire for transformation. You do that, all the aces are here. The 4 treasures of the Tuatha De Danann are here. They're already on the table. All that's missing is the action. It brings alignment, transformation. Gemini energy coming in real strongly there. I love this, okay? So it's like, what's the challenge? The challenge is seeing outside the box of the square, man. You're going to have to think outside the box. But you enact this transformation and you recognize what's really worth walking toward with that harvest moon. See, a judgment is made. There is something you walk away from because now you know how to hold your power with wisdom. New journey begins. Okay, new journey begins there. Really potent, okay? What's at stake for the new world? The collective wants to weave into being here. What's at stake for the new world we all want to weave into being here? Moving up to this energy of the harvest moon. The promise on the other side of the rainbow. The pot of gold, the gold of the Tuatha De Danann. When we come into that place of fullness in our hearts. When we have unreasonable happiness. When we tap into that state, that quality of optimism, of joy, of mirth, merrymaking, even though there's no evidence for reason to be in that state, just for the sheer reverence for life itself. To know that after any storm of life, there's always the promise that comes on the other side. This is like an archway that leads us into a whole new dimension of reality, and we can all break on through to the other side there. So stay focused on being at the center of it all, because it all spirals out through you. And we're all connected at the hub there. And we can set something new in motion here. It's the thing of beauty. I mean, this collective here at BroadCoven, we're working it. I like to see how we're working our path because the energy continues to come out very positive. And this is not always what I see represented in the algorithm. I see a lot of negativity there. But every time I tap into the collective here and how we're working our path, it looks transformational. This is an arrival point. So well done to all of you, because this is hard work. It's not easy for anybody. I mean, 10 of Wands, we've been carrying a lot here, but it's time. It's time to actually use that power and set it in motion. And you'll each be called to that in your own way. All right, let's give you a little hope here. I'm going to do a little shuffling here. What's the cookie? What is the sweet reward for the collective as we set that power into motion, as we respect the messages that come in, as we get the next steps on our path, and we trust with blind faith, we trust that the road will rise up to meet us. What is the cookie? What is the sweet reward for the collective? What is the cookie? What is the sweet reward for the collective? It requires beginner's mind with the Page of Pentacles. This is the start of a new learning cycle. So understand that where you may have wisdom from what you've been through, you ain't been here before. This is brand new. It's brand new for all of us. So the more that you can approach your situations, the circumstances you face with beginner's mind, and understand that even if you're looking at a person that you've dealt with before, even if a situation bears striking resemblance to something you already encountered, it's not the same. There's something new here, and there's something new to learn. This is really a key, okay? There is some opportunity that is going to be put in our hand. It's tangible, okay? It's material. This is not something fantasy, but you do have to approach it as a beginner, and it will bring a new cycle of learning in here for us. And that is the cookie. There's some sweet reward attached to this. Okay, when I think beginner's mind, though, it requires us to recognize that, hey, I'm not the expert here, and I got stuff to learn. And I'm open to this experience. I'm open to growth. And that's a real key component that's coming through here. More details on this, please, Spirit. Ooh, and that flew right out on the Queen of Cups, okay? And you have to take the opportunity that Spirit's presenting to you. And that does involve maybe getting outside of a certain static frame of mind where you're like, I think that my healing or my celebration needs to look like this. This is going to require a beginner's mind. It requires you to understand that maybe you don't know what's going to bring you the true healing you need. Maybe you don't know what is going to be your true celebration. You're going to have to trust here. And it will feel like an opportunity comes out of the ether. You've got to open yourself up to it, okay? And this is coming through with the Queen of Cups. Open up the cup of love so something can pour into it here, all right? This is so, so necessary, all right? So it's really alerting that there needs to be a softening here. There needs to be an opening up of the heart space, not being so rigid, finding a new flow here and being willing to give over and let go. It's really highlighting this, but let me go ahead and do a cut of the deck. If the opening up happens, if the risk to be vulnerable happens, if the willingness to admit, maybe I don't know what will bring healing, please show me, guide me, Spirit. What will bring healing here? What do I need to learn? Show me, guide me, lead me. Instead of thinking something's all figured out here, what will give the most happiness? What will be most fulfilling? Not just for me, but for everyone. What is truly in alignment with my Dharma here, okay? If we can embrace this perspective, if we can learn how to really go with the flow of what Saturn wants us to understand here, because it is key. It does really provide illumination, and it does provide us with a way through. What is the cookie? Cut the deck. Something worth standing for, something worth representing. Okay? To me, this looks like confronting the repressed parts of ourselves that are too attached to chains that bind us. This, to me, represents unconscious aspects of ourselves that continually have us feeling the burn and projecting certain expectations on the mirror of our material reality that make us feel like the devil's out to get us, when really the trickster is us in disguise. This is really having the courage to confront the lower aspects of self and say, no, I am going to take this power in my hands. I'm going to act on it, and I'm going to see something different. And see, this is that Capricorn energy. And on the other side of the Capricorn energy is mastery all its own. It's mastery of the subconscious influences. It's mastery through making the shadow material brought into the light of conscious awareness. And this brings worldly dominion. This brings the transformation point where all you see is all there is, because now you know what's truly worth standing for through recognizing these lower aspects of the self that have actually been at war with holding the power wisely and enacting the transformation that's needed on the path. I'm really curious what's behind the devil here. Three of Swords, okay? There's a little delay in understanding around this, a few weeks, but it will bring balance and justice. I feel with the start of Libra season, okay? So that's going to happen right around the time of the second new moon in Virgo. And that's going to arrive on the scene on the 21st of September, okay? We also have the new moon in Libra will be coming in a little bit later, more on the Scorpio side. It's sort of coming in much in the same way that the Virgo energy is. I actually think it does come in, yes it does, on the 21st of October. So that's a mirror moon energy. That's a whole other initiatory gateway we'll be moving through. There's a lot of deep healing that's going to happen during that time. You might not be aware of what this is though for a few weeks. So I feel right at that time, the second Virgo new moon on the 21st, this is when you'll really understand the healing work to be done. And then we really do move to a point of balancing things out with the new moon in Libra that comes in on the 21st of October. And I might bring something in to read for Libra energies for third decanate Libras. Third decanate Libras hold a lot of the Scorpio Libra energy. And I think it's going to be very pertinent during that cycle. So do be on the lookout for that. We know that there's going to be balance here though. There is a way through. There is a way through it. And I brought that in recently. So let me have a look at this here. World on the top of the deck there. I brought this in recently, so I just want to show it now that I thought of it. I feel like it's what's on the other side of that initiatory gateway through the Pisces harvest moon, right? Because there's that initiatory gateway on the moon card. But there's also initiatory gateways here too, if you look at these two cards. And I was saying recently, you take number 11 associated with justice, you break it down, it comes to 2, which is also the number of the high priestess. There is a lot of similarity associated between these two cards. And I feel like what's happening here is with this harvest full moon, we're diving down deep and we're pulling that stuff up from the shadow and we're pulling it up from the root and we're forcing it into the light. We're thrusting it into the light to look at it, And yes, that can be shocking, It can feel like the rug's being pulled out from under us. It requires us to respond in a brand new way. But once we go through that gateway of initiation of that moon, we do arrive at the new moon in Libra on the 21st of October that is the way through. Before that, with the Hunter's moon coming in, it is in Aries. And there is no eclipse energy associated with that. So this is like all of the lights are on. We're getting a clear view of how everything is sort of laid out here and what we need to do to navigate it, because it's going to be evident. The judgment is coming through. All right. Well, let's have a look at this. What is the target, the focal point that we should aim for in the lead up to this full harvest moon lunar eclipse? It is a total eclipse coming in Pisces, okay? So you can be guaranteed by the time we arrive at the at the Hunter's moon in Aries, all lights are going to be on in the room. What you couldn't see then, you will know at that time, okay? But the judgment's going to be evident. But I think there's details of the healing work that needs to be done. It seems like it's around a key connection or connections here, okay? Look, it comes in again, justice, okay? We should be focused on bringing balance to ourselves, to our life, okay? We should bring focus to closing out the old cycle. Oh, beautiful energy. And we should bring focus to acting on this material opportunity that is coming our way, because it is a gateway, it is the transformation point, and it's not something we should sit on. We should move into action with this. This is the beginning we were looking for. And it might look a little different than you were anticipating, but there's something here that within 8 weeks' time, within 2 months' time, you're really going to see how that was so key that you didn't hesitate with this, all right? Let me go ahead and do a cut of the deck here. See what we got. Okay, but right now, there's a need to kind of drop this act of I'm powerless, I don't know what to do. There's something you can do, and you need to do it, all right? Because it's foundational here. Look at this, what's on the other side. This is what you're not recognizing here. You have everything you need. Everything you need to bring about transformation in your reality with the 10 of Pentacles here. It's self-delusion. And this is the need to move into action. And certainly this can be building with others. This can be activation, the legacy energy. This is an arrival point. And it's not just fantasy land. This is something rooted in your material reality. And it's beautiful. I mean, we have the 10 of Cups. We have the 10 of Pentacles. We have the 2 of Cups. We have an Ace of Pentacles. This is beautiful energy. It just requires us to act on the opportunity and to accept that maybe life knows what it's doing, which will require us to get out of points of prideful resistance, all right? Because I have a feeling things might seem a little different. They might appear a little different than what you were anticipating. And since we are moving through this sort of like wrapping up of the old cycles with Pluto and all the eclipse energy from when the cardinal cross was running the show in terms of those nodes of destiny, I thought we would go ahead and just get sort of like an overarching theme energy. I mean, right there on the split, we have the witch, the earthly weaver of the worlds, coming in with Barmbrock, which is sweetness and synergy. See, this is the harvest energy here. But what do you need to do to be the earthly weaver of the worlds? You need to hold your fire, which is your power, which is your will, which is your action. You need to set it in motion. You have the ability to alchemize this here and bring about a profound healing and a harvest, right? So there's much to hope for. Overarching theme here to cap this off for the collective, to let us know what is the gateway of initiation that we're actually entering here as a collective with the harvest moon in Pisces. Let's get a theme to it so we can work with this theme. Looks like, what is this card? Oh, it was the 7 of Wands, okay? 7 of Wands. It flipped back face down here, okay? So we're not at this point yet. It feels like a montage moment to me too. When I look at that 7 of Wands, it's like really standing up to the challenge of arrival. The challenge of arrival instead of a rival. Little play on words there, okay? You might have challenge with what arrives on the scene and what you need to step into here. But once you step into it, you'll understand how it's worth defending to the end. You'll understand how it's actually the unconscious aspects of yourself that have been holding you back from being fully in with this thing, right? So we're going to get a theme for this. Yeah, I saw a little flash of risk and reward. So yes, there's risk here, but there's also a lot of reward on offer. And I also saw the strength card. So you do have the strength to overcome the challenges to stepping into this. So let's see what this looks like here. What is the theme of this initiatory gateway? It's all about coming together as a community. It's all about threads of connectivity. It's weaving the light into being. It's really changing the focus and bringing our focus together in this way, right? Community and web weaving, all right? This is what we should be focused on right now, gathering together with our community and holding conscious awareness around what we're trying to bring together here. So I'm going to start bringing in a lot more stuff on the channel where we can do like some visioning work together. This is something I've been really called to lately. And I am just going with the flow at the channel right now. It's what is being asked of us at this time. So I'm going to start to bring in a lot of stuff that can support us in coming together as a community and just visioning together and calling this new energy in. And I'm going to go ahead and see if that was it. It seems like that was it. Okay, bottom of the deck. Yes, please. Lay to rest your unnecessary fears with this harvest moon. All right? Lay them to rest. It's time to leave the fears in the past. And it was 49, 49, 13, 13 on the clock. Double fours, 8. All right? And I believe this is around a key connection here. To me, it feels like that. It feels like there's two people here that have a lot of fear about encountering each other or working through something with each other. Or this can even be you and a group of people. But the gap needs to be bridged here. And something does need to be laid to rest. And once that's done, once that action's taken, it's a stepping into power. And then teaming the energies together brings about the manifestation that turns the wheel of fortune here. Ooh, yes. And all this is just the moment of getting all the juiciness, all the sweetness, all the self-knowledge and wisdom that comes on the other side of that high priestess deep dive into the south node, so she can rise up into the position of Pisces north node and actualize all that's been learned there. I'm looking for the high priestess here. She kind of went missing. She might have integrated back into the deck again. She might be hiding. The high priestess might be hiding. Ooh, okay. That's interesting how that just came through. You're meant to find the high priestess. You're meant to encounter the high priestess. It's not anyone outside of you. It's the high priestess within you. You will only find her when you dive deep. And yes, men, it's your yin quality. It's the feminine intuition, wisdom, and ability to open up and flow. Flow with the emotions, to trust, to receive. So this is coming through for all of us here. Beautiful. Really beautiful. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of diving into it. Don't be afraid. But this is you reclaiming the high priestess and integrating her. So high priestess would be a wonderful archetype to work with this week. You might want to carry the high priestess tarot card with you if you happen to have that card. If you don't have a tarot deck, you can always go and download an image of the high priestess and set it on your phone wallpaper so you have it as a reflection point. You may want to set up an altar that has symbols of the high priestess, and however that speaks to you. And you will be surprised when you bring these archetypes into the material, how it provides keys to the consciousness. It unlocks the doors of perception, and a little bit of magic will be retrieved there that will activate the self-knowledge within you. And this will be the point that everything changes and opens the road to the North Node activation. See you on the other side.